Okay, so I know I'm in my tiny little studio apartment. I know you're all sick of seeing it. Someone messaged me the other day and said that I need to get my wallpaper fixed. I'm aware. But you know what? When you are building an empire of a business, you just work with what you got. So deal with it. My bed is in the background. Occasionally, I will try and film if I'm like somewhere nice, but this is what we got. So it's less about the backdrop. And you know what? The reason I don't AI it is so you know I'm real. This is the shit show I live in, guys. And it's not about that. It's about me teaching you what to look out for when you are booking your wedding or event. And recently we have heard so many vendor horror stories, and I could actually talk for hours, but it's a Monday night. I do not have a glass of wine with me, and I am in no mood to go down that road because we would be here for hours. But what I am going to tell you in this quick, we'll see if it's quick, because this really gets me riled up. But what I'm going to tell you in this video is a couple of red flags to look out for when you are booking your vendors. Be it a wedding, be it a birthday, engagement, christening, anniversary, corporate event. No matter what style of event, there are a number of things to look out for. And unfortunately, particularly if you're based in Australia with us, recently, more and more, we are unfortunately seeing these things. And you know why? Because post-COVID, what happened is, particularly here in Victoria, Melbourne, we had the world's worst lockdowns. We all know that. We don't need to relive it. But a lot of people left their corporate jobs because they wanted a bit of a change of pace in life. It really made them reevaluate. And that's all well and good. I'm all about do what you love, do what makes you fit in with your family, all of that sort of jazz. But not everyone is good at what they do. You can definitely do photography as a hobby. You can do event planning as a hobby. You can do floristry as a hobby. Does not mean you have the same skill set, drive, stamina, knowledge, expertise as someone who has spent the past, let's say, 12 years, event degree, business degree, qualifications, doing what they do. This goes for photographers, it goes for florists, it goes for videographers, it goes for chefs, caterers, bar staff, cocktail mixers, like anything and everything you can think of. Almost any job in the event world is an artistry. And that is why, one, pricing can be so subjective because it's less of a regulated industry. However, in saying that, there are still qualifications that exist. And a lot of people do not realize that a lot of our industry, again, I can only really speak to this area and this part of Australia. I'm not sure how it is in the rest of the world at the moment, but I do know a couple of event planners in America and in and around like London and the UK, and they are giving me very similar vibes. I don't think it's as bad over there from what I can gather, but it's, guys, just look, don't get caught up in it. So with that being said, red flag number one to look out for when you are booking any vendor. If they don't have a contract or a service agreement, and I'm not talking terms and conditions on their website, that doesn't count. If it's a terms and conditions where you're purchasing a product and you're made to tick a box saying I accept, that is different. So if you're like hiring balloons and arch, things like that for a birthday party maybe, and you've physically ticked that box giving your consent, and you have hopefully read the terms and conditions, because that should have the cancellation fees, should have your deposit amounts, all of those legal things in it, then that is above board. However, if it is a service, they need a contract or a service agreement. Any terms and conditions on a website that you haven't physically ticked, and I will preface this by saying I'm not a lawyer. So any lawyers that are going to come at me, that are watching this, that want to give their opinion, please give your opinion, because I am not a qualified lawyer. I do not practice law. This is just my knowledge of being in the industry and coming across this more than once. I come across dodgy contracts and dodgy vendors trying to do something dodgy without a contract or a proper service agreement or alike at least once a month. Yep, not once a season, once a month at the moment. And it is wild. Some of the stuff I have seen, I have had a couple scammed out of $17,000. I have had a service, I'm not going to say what, try and demand that the couple needed to book them because they held the date and refused other work, when the couple only got a quote from them. They hadn't paid a deposit. They hadn't acknowledged that they were going to book this vendor. This vendor somehow felt that they were entitled to that service when that was in no way implied. I have had clients lose money because they didn't read the contract properly and there was no force majeure clause. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it is effectively an out of your control. If a natural disaster happens and it's no one's specific fault, you didn't cancel, I didn't cancel, it was because of something that was just unforeseen. What happens is generally most force majeure clauses say, on behalf of me, the vendor, it's not my fault, so we retain your deposit and any funds up until that point that, dictate that we have done the work until that point. If the event gets cancelled prior to that day, we, for example, because we're nice and we love helping people, in our contract have, if it's in the event of force majeure activity gets cancelled, we will give you the option to postpone or carry over your date subject to availability for a certain period of time. Most people don't have that. They're not that nice. They will have force majeure in there, but, sorry, so sorry, the cancellation terms will apply. So if it's less than, 30 days out, but a hurricane hits, you still owe me the full amount, which I think is a little bit nasty, but, you run your business how you like. Then there's people who don't have that clause in there at all, which is a very standard clause. Again, lawyers, correct me if I'm wrong, very standard clause for most legal contracts. So we've had clients lose their deposit because they didn't read it and there was no force majeure clause. They had to cancel and they owed the full amount to that vendor. We have had a celebrant cancel on the client, but the client actually owed them because of the way that the contract was written and the client didn't read the contract properly. We have had the client owe the venue extra money for extra things that they didn't agree to because they did a handshake agreement. Guys, never do. You are paying for whatever event it is, one of the most important things you're ever going to pay for. Please don't ever do a good faith agreement. I don't care where you are. I don't care where in rural Vic. And also, if you're a venue or a vendor that is trying to do a handshake agreement, get out of the business. I'm so sorry, but that's just not how the world works anymore. And if you ever come across me as your planner, I'm not going to let you do that. So get your shit straight, get your contracts in place, and sort your stuff out. So red flag number 1, please don't ever book a vendor if they do not have an above board contract. And tip number 1 is read the bloody contract. Red flag number 2 is if they are rude, abrupt, dismissive, any of these things. Just like you wouldn't date someone who was like that on a first date, think of your vendors as speed dating. If you are having an initial call with someone and they come across really dismissive, rude, they don't want to answer your questions, our job is literally to help you. Again, if we're talking in the context of weddings, you've never planned, theoretically, it's like I don't know what the actual stat is, but it's something like 70 to 80% of Australians have never planned a wedding before. It's like their first wedding. So it's probably even higher than that now because we're coming into the younger generation. But Our job is to help you. So if a vendor can't be bothered answering a couple of questions on that first call, what are they going to be like the rest of the time? Probably going to be a fucking nightmare, let's be honest. I actually had a couple say to me the other day that I was the 5th planner that they chatted with, and their exact words were, "It's so refreshing that you're so helpful and you actually seem really kind." Because everyone we've spoken to so far seemed like they didn't even want to talk to us, or that our wedding was too small and was a waste of their time. I actually was like, first of all, I apologized to them. That's the impression they're getting from our industry. No wonder people hate planners if this is how you're coming across. Second of all, every wedding is worth your time. It does not matter if you are an elopement, just the two of you, if you're a micro wedding of 10 people, or if you're a huge cultural wedding of 400 people. You are all worth mine and my company's time, because you're all something different and you all deserve to have the day that is reflective of you. And if a vendor doesn't understand that, they are not a quality vendor, number one. They probably don't know what they're doing, so you've dodged a bullet, number two. And they probably don't have the industry insider expertise that you would want or need anyway. They're probably someone who is cheap as chips, getting all their clients off budgetary constraints and concerns. And you know what? I'm the first to always say we're not the cheapest, but we give you the best value for money. And at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather spend an extra couple $100 to have someone that's nice? And the other thing is, if they're that rude to you, but you're doing it to save an extra $500, can you really be sure that they're not going to be talking that way to your guests? Just something to think about. Red flag number 3. Why does this always look so weird? I look like a little claws. Red flag number 3 is, I mean, look, there could be a million red flags, though. I could keep going, honestly. Red flag number 3 is, please don't crowdsource your vendors in Facebook groups. Anyone who's saying this person was great, this person was great, this person was great, they're just recommending their friends. Let's be real. They're not giving you actual industry opinions. A lot of the time it's people from secret Instagram pages just vouching for themselves. It could be people that work for the company. It could be people who didn't know any better and they only found that one person. And yeah, it's nice to hear from real brides who had a really good opinion of that person. But if that's the case, please do your extra research. Go and then Google that person, see their Google reviews. If they don't have enough Google reviews or good quality Google reviews, one person mentioning them in a Facebook group isn't going to do it. So please make sure you go and do your own research. Don't just trust and go off Facebook groups. The other thing is, take Facebook groups with a grain of salt, because the amount of people I see always just having a little go at each other in the comments is unbelievable. And it's like vendors going at brides and brides going at other brides, and then people complaining about certain vendors or dress shops or whatever it might be, and people saying this is not how you run a business and blah, 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 blah. Like, everyone's going to have their opinion. It is Facebook. So honestly, you can't, in my opinion, it's not that you can't find quality vendors in a Facebook group or in an unusual place, but also know your audience and know where you're looking. Like, if you're looking for the cheapest option, then yeah, maybe going to a Facebook group is probably the way. If you're looking for quality, then going to some of the expos or looking at, Google, because people will actually spend money on their marketing. If you're an LGBT couple, looking in the comments of Facebook chats and different things, as opposed to going and searching queer specific sites, and yes, they exist, is probably not the right way to go, because you're going to get a bunch of straight vendors who say, I'm queer aligned, that are probably going to misgender you later on. So it really just needs to be a quick thought process of where's the best place. And again, I completely understand it's the first time you've done it. You don't necessarily know the best place to look. But once again, that is where expert planners come in, is we can guide you with all of this. We can tell you where the best places are to look. We can give you our curated list. We can give you our curated list because, again, most planners don't curate lists of vendors like we do. So that's probably my 3 top vendor red flags when you're planning. As a 4th bonus one, if one of your friends has gotten married and you've seen someone at their wedding that you really loved, don't feel like it is a horrible thing to just ask your friend and say, hey, can we use your celebrant? We really loved your band. Were they good to deal with? Like, those personal recommendations from people you trust is going to be the easiest and best way to find the best vendors, because your friends are going to tell you the truth. They're going to say, yeah, look, the band was good on the day. Their communication was shit in the lead up. Or, yeah, the celebrant was good, but, you know, she asked the same question 5 times and we didn't really feel like it was super personal. Or, you know, whatever it might be. So don't feel like you can't use the same vendors just because a friend used them. That, I know that's a big thing sometimes, but that's always going to be your best bet. So if you're trying to plan by yourself, you're trying to keep the costs down and you're trying to find reliable vendors, other than looking at Google reviews, quality, scouring their sites, looking at their reputation, actually reading a little bit about them, see how much they're mentioned as well, and make sure when you're comparing packages, you're comparing the value of the vendors as well, not the cheapest option, but the actual value that's included. Are you comparing apples for apples? Are you comparing apples for oranges? Or are you comparing apples for potatoes? Are they not even close? But please don't ever sign without a proper contract and read the contract. Please don't go crowdsourcing in Facebook groups. And if you do, please do your own research. And please just make sure that your vendors are actually happy to answer your questions, and make sure that they're a nice human that you would want to be celebrating with. Because at the end of the day, it is your day and you can do it however you want. So also, don't let them judge you. Don't let them don't take their opinions as much as you value their opinion. So there is a right and a wrong way to say things as a vendor, and believe me, a lot of vendors say things the wrong way. So that is another testament to how much experience they have, and a large part of being a vendor in this industry is being a people person. Can they adapt to tell you no in a nice way? And if they say no, have they been able to present you with a satisfactory alternative? Because we never say no. We say we can't do that in your budget, but we can do this. And that's, in my opinion, what makes a good vendor from a really shit one. So please look out for your red flags. And you know what? If anyone's had any horror stories, let me know in the comments, because I can always use more. And if anyone is in Victoria and needs some help with reading their contracts, finding good vendors, a really friendly planning team to help get you through, shoot us a message.